And we are live with our 47th installment of Nansen Office Hours. GM, thank you for joining us today. And please drop your GMs in the chat. My name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO at Nansen. Some people like to call me the token god. If you are new to Office Hours, this is where we drop the alpha leaks, we check out Nansen's new features, and we try to answer some questions from you. Today, we have a very special guest, namely John, our head of product and Wagme shitpour. Welcome, John.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Alex. Appreciate it.
So I'm very excited about this Office Hours because you are actually sort of the commander behind the scene, helping steer the Nansen ship towards greatness as a product. And we aspire to have a world-class product. I think we're slowly getting there. It's a pretty fun product to work on. And so do you want to give a quick introduction of like who you are and what you do at Nansen?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess first to start, I feel like I've watched probably all 47 episodes, so I'm like the biggest fan of this. So like me being on is a huge honor. So I have to say that. I mean, hopefully I do us justice and do a good job here. So please go easy in the chat about things that you want to see in the product. I'm also very nervous about that. Like, go easy on me. We try to do our best. I mean, I guess that's statement number one is we're all in this together and trying to build a great product for the community. So that's my job as head of product for Nansen is to really listen. I guess quickly on my background, I'm like a traditional finance guy. Kind of learned about technology and how their finance is being disrupted, and really went head first into it. And every job that I've had has been trying to create the future of finance. So I started with Nansen in April, so I haven't been here too long, but in the world of crypto, that moves really rather quick. But I've been in crypto for a while as an investor and as a person in the community. Not super well known, like not a celebrity, but it's good because I'm a shipper, right? Like that's what's the beauty of it is like I like to build things. I have more fun doing that than necessarily like being a vocal advocate. But yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
I feel like you're a bit too humble on like your crypto background. I mean, you worked on like, what was it, the first DEX ever, or like at least a DEX very early on, and you're pretty much like an Ethereum OG. Do you want to talk a little bit about like how you got into Ethereum and what some of those early projects were that you worked on?
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up. I mean, so I have a good friend of mine who will go unmentioned that him and I were geeking out over it. I mean, I remember, reading Bitcoin and also reading the yellow paper on Ethereum. And I was like, this is the future. And smart contracts, when you think about it, you're like, we need this, right? Like a lot in finance. And again, I'm a geek in terms of finance. I love it. Like I love the numbers of it, of like, okay, you could create a structured product and create tranches and CMOs and all that stuff. But there was never a way for like true transparency in finance. And you have to, if you think about it, if you want to invest in something, you need to go to a brokerage and you can't hold your assets yourself. And there was just a lot that was messed up about that. And when I saw Ethereum, I was like, this could really bring about the change that we need. So yeah, I mean, I started, we worked on EtherEx, which was a really old project. It became Ether Delta, I think, after, and then obviously Uniswap is key, and like now DEXs have taken off, but that was back when like DEXs didn't exist, and people were talking about how like Ethereum there weren't many tokens, right? There was like, I think there was like 3 tokens, and it was like, how do you trade these things? Oh, there's no way to do this really, and the order book kind of sucked because there was a bunch of problems with that. So we had to figure out, how to go about this. And I guess like pioneering this stuff. But I think like now pioneering also the data aspect with Nansen, I think is huge, because I think the other aspect of the future of finance is it's transparent. And there's a lot of opaqueness in the traditional finance markets. So I love what we're doing at Nansen in terms of like letting individuals, if you empower yourself with the data, hopefully we get rid of the noise and deliver you the signal, but you can actually do really well in this feature that we're building.
Yeah. And you actually were working with Eric, right, on this stuff back in like 2016, and that's how we got introduced as well, right? So this is Eric.eth for those of you who are on Twitter, and that's how we got introduced actually. So yeah, it's a funny little family you have in crypto where people introduce great people to each other and so on. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this office hours. I think we're gonna get a chance to dive into a lot of alpha leaks, not just like the tokens that you might want to be looking at or NFT collections, but like how to use Nansen. And maybe also we'll talk a bit about some of the stuff that's on the horizon, depending on what people are interested in. You're getting a lot of GMs in the chat, by the way, so nice. I guess you can GM back to them. Yeah, so should we? What do you think? Should we just dive right into poking around in Nansen, or how do you feel about that as a WAGMI shipper?
That sounds good. Yeah, I could jump in and share my screen, and we could go from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's see if you have the permissions and everything set up there. You find the button.
Yeah, I think so. Is that here we go? Oops, maybe not. I'm doing the entire screen, and we're gonna. You know what?
Okay.
Let's risk it.
So I'm gonna add you to the stream. Boom. Cool. There you are. And I think the sizing to me looks pretty good, but drop in the chat if you can't read the stuff. I mean, you do have to squint a bit because we do have a lot of tabular data. I mean, I think this is pretty good. So yeah, we can probably just keep it like that.
Okay. Cool. All
right. So yeah, do you want to talk a little about like new functions that we have? So for example, around watch lists, and there's actually a lot of new stuff. I don't know if you want to just talk about this stuff, and I'll sit in the back.
Yeah, it's a good week to jump in here and talk about it. So I guess the first thing that we added recently is NFT Smart Money, and some of these things are VIP only for now. And I guess first to set the stage on VIP versus our standard subscription that we have. Some things we try to give everything out to everyone that's ready-made. And I've mentioned that, like, trying to surface the signal, that's our vision and our mission of Nansen. And we're trying to do things quickly. So some of those things that we test out are given first to our VIP customers. It's a little bit of a plug, obviously, if you want to ape into it, but it's also, how we get feedback to prepare it for the next release, which would really be going out to everyone in standard. So this tab specifically here, the NFT Smart Money tab, is right now for VIP only, but we will ship it to standard as after we get feedback and understand what we need to improve. But this is really awesome. I mean, the NFT team has been killing it, trying to build what do we need to show people in terms of what smart money is doing. And in here we see things like the last our 200 billionaire, legendary, and smart money transactions. What are they doing right now? Like, what are they buying? What are they selling? What are they minting? Which I think is amazing, because like, back to reducing the noise. I mean, some of these are really projects that you should probably be interested in, like Smiles. I saw it come up recently. I don't know if we want to click into that at all.
Sure. This is office hours. We can click into anything we want.
Yeah. It's a really, to me, this was an interesting project because I think it's still minting, but I can't figure it out really, because it's also being sold. There's clearly a floor going on here at 0.1 ETH, but there's still something going on in terms of like it's being sold on probably OpenSeas or something like that. So, but it's still getting smart money traction. So I see a lot here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like minting, right? They appear to be minting Smiles. So that's Smiles with like 3 S's, or?
Yeah. And there's a thing that you can do with filtering, which I think I might have maybe There are 3 S's. Yeah, that was weird. Name contained. Oh no, sorry.
Maybe. Oh yeah. There we go.
NFT collection needs to be Smiles. So yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Minting and selling, pretty much, right?
And there's a couple that are buying things. So I'm like, I don't understand if it's being minted. I don't know why it would be also being sold and bought. So yeah, it's an interesting.
Maybe one thing we could do here is like we could look at the useful links when that loads to bring it up on OpenSea, and then from OpenSea we can like bring up the project website to see if that gives us any clarity. It looks like there's 8,888 pieces. Oh, look at this. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really look into.
That's pretty cool. Are they all like 3D like that? That's kind of cool.
Probably, yeah.
Smiles verse.
Oh no, it probably haven't.
Okay.
Okay, which is still weird that it's being traded and people are buying them above. It could be gas price too. That's probably why they're like
sometimes I guess people buy like special numbers, right? I don't know if we should go back and if we can see the IDs in there. Like, are they buying like number 69 or 4616? Yeah, that doesn't seem too special, right?
Yeah.
Dow Maxi. Yeah, I don't know about this one.
Right, and it again, do your own research. I just happen to click on this, but it definitely is interesting from the smart money tracker, right? Like going back to this, this is hopefully giving us some ability to peer into, what are people interested in. So in the discovery category, I think this is pretty good. And here we break it into smart mints, smart buys. So like these are newer projects. And here actually you can see like exactly what's going on with like the number of people that are actually minting this. Smart buys, who's buying what, and then who's selling too. So like maybe if you owned Fox Fam, could be a time to like questionably sell. Depends, I don't know. But
yeah, we're not giving any financial advice here, of course. Do your own research. This is purely informational. We can see in the data that while there are more sellers of smart money in that specific collection, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. And the volume is pretty low, so I mean, I don't know if that's that's another thing to take note of. I mean, maybe that means that they're not taking profits because it's probably just a pretty cheap one. But like Sandbox's lands, that could be just people just taking gains, right? Like that. 75 ETH for 7 people. That's pretty good money right there. There's a couple other charts around like top mints. Like here's people that are, and these are interesting because it's both negative and positive. So you could see, money going out, and then if they've also sold recently. So yeah, this is just interesting to look at as well.
Yeah, and then the negative is actually like minting, right? And it factors in the gas costs or something like that.
Right.
Or actually, buys include gas use, but sells do not. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why it's negative. I think some people were a bit confused by that, but this is really the minting that explains it.
And that's why this is beta, right? Like we're testing this out. We're not sure. We like, we know what people are liking or giving us feedback positively on, and where we need to improve. Like I think some of the scatter plots have proven really helpful, especially the one that we just looked at, a few minutes ago with like Smiles, and like this has been really amazing alpha and peering into the project. So we want to continue to do that and develop that idea. So that's why we tried this here, but maybe we just need a little bit more to dial in. And so we'll get into like time spans, and that's another thing we've heard a lot of people asking for is like they want to go back in time or want to peer into a certain point and expand the timeline. So we do plan on doing that. It's in the roadmap, but I think that might help in this situation.
Yeah. And we also did a recent change where if a NFT collection has less than 7 days history, we actually show some of the data on hourly basis, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Now I'm kind of going back to like NFT God mode, but
Yeah.
some of this stuff is like it's kind of coming, piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
And since you mentioned feedback, like what's the best way as a user if I have some feedback and I really want to see this change, like this is stupid that you guys at Nansen haven't thought about this thing, like you should just ship it right away. What's like the fastest way to get my feedback into the product?
Yep. Yeah. It's a good question. And we are trying to make this even better, but we have this feedback.nansen.ai site. And this is, I'm already in admin view, which is a bit dangerous. So no, it shouldn't be. But we have a back end to this.
I think now you're actually not in that. Now you're in the normal one. But if you click that button, you're going to be taken to admin view. So I think I could be wrong. So don't click it.
Yeah, I won't. But we're also commenting or like, giving our take on certain features or asking clarifying questions. But anyway, we as in the product management team look at this all the time and take it to heart. I mean, the thing that I would say, if you put in anything, you choose a category of, is it an existing dashboard that you want improvement on? Is it a new analytics that we don't have? Is it smart alerts related, or is it user experience related? And put in a short title and any details that you might have around the feature that you'd want to see. And the key that we're looking at is the votes, right? So hopefully we have a lot that are planned. We have an initiative on our team is to capture as many points as possible. So we're kind of like gamifying this quite a bit, and people are rewarded for, Solana support. We know that there's 37 people that are looking for this, and we want to make it happen. So us like putting our money where our mouth is, we're as a team are prioritizing your feedback that you give us. So this is a great way to put it in. It's a nice way, even if you're shy, you can do this kind of anonymously. You do need to sign up for an account. We're going to tie this to the app pretty soon. So, there will be a single sign-on where you just go from pro.nansen.ai right to our feedback site. But for now, you have to register and then tell us what you need.
I think maybe one thing that is not immediately obvious is that you can also rally around like certain things you want and share it on social media, for example. Because if our users know that, look, on the inside of Nansen, the organization, we really want to capture canny points or like feedback points. Like we want to ship feedback points. Then as a user, you should just be sharing some of these things on social media and saying like, hey, help upvote this thing. That's how we're going to make it happen, because automatically that's going to drive the product team to put their eyes on this feature and ship it faster. Yeah. So it really is like, you can input features, but you can also just try to share them on social media and upvote them and get other people to upvote. That's really, a great way to make sure that you get the features that you want and the changes you want into the product as fast as possible.
Right. And maybe we do some interesting things around that too. Like I know we've talked about that, and we haven't connected to Web3 at all, but maybe soon. So no alpha leaking right yet, but maybe.
Yeah. Cool. Should we hop back into the NFT paradise and all that stuff? There's actually like a bunch of different features. So now we talked about the NFT Smart Money, which there's still more for people to look at in that if they want. We talked about the time scales, right, for price and volume charts. There's also the watch list. So I don't know, I don't know if you have stuff in your watch list we shouldn't be showing in on a live stream. If you're comfortable jumping into that, but you could also show how people add things to a watch list, for example. Up to you.
Yeah, perfect. No, and then I was quickly showing one of these that we've just added it in Watchlist, and someone's already asking to connect MetaMask to Watchlist. So like this had 18 votes in the past week. So trending is also something that we're keeping in mind. So this is awesome. Like that's exactly what we want to see. But yeah, adding things to your watch list. You can add now NFTs, tokens, or wallets to your watch list. So one of the things that we've also added recently is the ability to right click. I think Nansen's starting to get, you can do a regular left click and it'll work. It'll go to what we think is the most appropriate place in the app. But if you right click, you'll know for sure where you're going to go. Like, okay, I want to go to the marketplace, which will bring you to OpenSea, or the Explorer, which will bring you to Etherscan, or now you can add to your watch list. So this will be an NFT Fat Ape Club. If I cared about this or wanted to know more information, or like wanted to pin it, I can put that into my watch list. And you know, we separated out into wallets, tokens, and NFTs. And these actual, you know, like Wi-Fi Maxi, if I go to him, I'm now have a quick access to Wi-Fi Maxi, who's now, I guess, renamed as NFT Maxi. I can actually name this person a little bit differently. So if I did do this, he was NFT Maxi, I said, hey, this is actually Wi-Fi Maxi. Or if I wanted to be like, this is a whale that I care about, I could save that and it'll actually change the name when I go into the watch list. So I might need to reload that, but my name will be personalized to me. We're also going to add the ability to put in a label here that's specific to you, because you might want to categorize people as like, hey, here's a lot of funds that I care about, or here's people that, you know, I've noticed are Stablecoin Masters or something like that. So coming soon is the ability to label them, but right now you can name them differently. And if you have the ability to filter, you can actually say like, okay, I just want everyone that is a whale or something like that, and it actually would work right now the way it is. So
that's very cool.
Yeah, so that's wallets. And I think what's really neat about this is we're showing the balance, the token balance, the NFT profit, and the label. So if you come in here every day and you're like, okay, well, this guy had 5,963 ETH and then it dropped the next day. That's what you, I mean, this is a fund, so it's not really all that interesting. But if you did have one, you know, you should be looking at this, and this is kind of a defensive mechanism that you could use to keep track of people.
Very cool. Yeah, this is I'm also kind of looking forward to when you can, I guess, when we look at tokens, which is what you're going to do next, to be able to connect with Web3 as well and sync that up with a wallet would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. I think this is where it gets super powerful, and this is where, back to like Nansen being either used for discovery, defense, or diligence. To me, this is a really important tool to use for defense. So like if you put in your portfolio here, you can see, okay, what is the percentage on exchanges? What is the percentage with DEX traders? Where's the concentration exist? Because we give you the top 5 holders, and have they moved in the last 7 days, in the last 30 days? So, you know, this is something that if I had something like SHIB and, you know, the concentration, right? Obviously that one's pretty relevant, but you know, if people are moving, there's typically your concentration risk is pretty high there. And maybe you want to look at it this way and look at like, okay, and it doesn't necessarily need to be holders, like individual wallets holding that. It could be their staking pool or something like that. So Sushi, I don't think, is actually like 5 people that are really owning this. It's actually like, and you could go to notable wallets and actually see where this is. But you still want to be aware of if that's changing, right? So here's the top balances. We're taking exactly from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like, yeah, this is the Treasury multi-sig, Sushi DeWeth, and X Sushi tokens. But at the same time, like if something's moving off of these, you want to be aware of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, I really like how far Nansen as a product has come when it comes to just navigating between different dashboards. Like we used to have to like literally copy paste links and like change the URL parameters manually and stuff like that. But now it's really seamless, like how you can like jump between things, drill down, like we're just doing now, right? You just hop into token god mode. If you look back to like office hours number 1, 2, and 3, we were just like messing around with the URLs, and it was a nightmare. It's pretty cool to see how far it's come in that sense.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And we're also trying to promote some things that we don't think are used too often. So like with SHIB, like token movements is in here. And it was kind of a weirder dashboard, or not highly used, because you have to put in some parameters. But I mean, it's super powerful. And I just don't think that the access was really there. So like, if you look at something like SHIB, we can go to, the past month and really see the balance changes. And so it just makes it a little bit better for, if you didn't know about something like this, at least it pre-fills in that information, and you don't have to grab the token address and put it in. So, yeah, but we're getting there.
Yeah, 100%. I think even dashboards like top depositors, top recipients, wallet profiler, they would not be used very much unless they were actually integrated into these other dashboards, right? And so it's kind of like a way to give life to these dashboards that have been like in the background for a while, maybe getting a little bit too little love.
Right.
And so here you're seeing what's the change, what's been happening from 4th of October to 2nd of November with the SHIB token. Exactly. And so if you're doing some like investigations, trying to understand some narratives, like this is like a really powerful dashboard actually, which is probably underutilized, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Because you see their starting balance and ending balance, what they did, and how long they've held it. I think this might be the guy who made like 5 billion off of it. I don't remember. But there's so many the best trade in the history of the universe. I think that's this guy. Right. And so
we can check that one out.
Yeah. I think it's pretty amazing. Like, well, yeah, I think they're down to 1.9 billion.
Wow, $1.9 billion in SHIB now, and that's like after removing or sending out the tokens, right? Which maybe they sold. Oh yeah, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Wallet profiler for token on this guy, right? This is pretty cool. We can actually understand what's going on here. They had 100 trillion SHIB.
Yeah, so 100 trillion SHIB, which is insane. And they got it over the course, like actually a couple trades, but I mean, like
that's insane.
They were bullish for a while, right? Like, and just held. You have gall, like, I mean, and there was a spike, I think, in February, right around here. The price went up, pretty high. Like the fact that they only sold a little bit, like 3 billion, which probably wasn't that much at the time.
This is wild. Yeah, can we go down and see what they actually did?
Yeah.
So it looks like they bought the tokens off of Uniswap. I mean, we could click through on the transactions there if we wanted to kind of like understand. These are like the largest ones, right?
Well, I just sorted it by time, right? So
yeah.
I like to look at this so you can actually track back to like, okay, what was going on, right? So they're sending some stuff. But I think here is where, right, there were 4 trillion, outflows, 40 trillion SHIB outflow, and they were sent. And yeah, we can click into it if we wanted to check it out.
It kind of looks to me like they just split up their holdings into separate wallets, right? And those are like new wallets.
Could have, yeah, right. Hard to tell. They're very exact, right? 10. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the
$600 million.
Right. Yeah.
And 16 hours ago. What the hell? It's like super recent.
Yeah, that is pretty recent, actually. I didn't think about that.
Oh, That's timely.
Right.
So timely. Should we? Yeah, maybe should we do like we could show people how to do a drill down on those addresses as well, because I want to know like what are they doing with those addresses, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, exactly. But now we're doing normal wallet profiler, right? Maybe it would be better to do like the wallet profiler for token on this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'll just click.
Okay, you go via there. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And the
But we could also use the wallet profiler to figure out like where these were funded by with ETH, for example. Like, is it the same address that's funding them, or?
Yeah, and actually this top interacting wallet, yeah, I mean, it looks like it's just that guy, right? The token billionaire. But it is weird that you would just send it to another address. I mean, he's probably looking to, and there's actually a couple other people in this, right? So I don't know, this medium DEX trader is sending things there, an ETH millionaire. There's some insider activity going on.
They're sending tokens to the same. Yeah, what's going on there? That's curious. And it's very recent as well.
Yeah. So like you can check that out. But I mean,
if
the big
SHIB, I would definitely look at these wallets if I'm holding SHIB, which I do not, unfortunately. But yeah, that's life.
Or another great tool, obviously, is Smart Alerts, right? So like if you are interested in this and you're like, okay, I want SHIB move, you know, like I want to know anytime this address is moving Shiba, right? So, and which is kind of crazy. I also own a Shiba Inu, but I haven't bought Doge or Shiba at all.
Because you own like a real Shiba Inu, like an actual dog.
Own the real dog, but I have never
gotten
into this. So my wife is like, "What the hell? Like, you should have known."
How could you not buy it?
Right? But I own the best version of the Shiba, which is the real thing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's very funny. So yeah, so you're just showing people how they can basically set up tracking for Shiba Inu tokens with Smart Alerts, so that this would be piped into your Telegram, Discord, or Slack, and so it shows like how you can discover stuff through Nansen and then set up these alerts to defend your portfolio if you are a SHIB holder, for example.
Yep. Yeah, probably not amazing for discovery at this point. I mean, yeah, but it is super protective, which is good.
Okay, I'm trying to just check a bit in the chat here. Okay, so people were asking if the watch list is only available to VIPs, or is that also coming to everyone, or what's the status on that?
So currently it is VIP. Now, yeah, I said that before, like we're trying to work out the kinks. One thing you'll notice is that we're limiting it to 20 items right now. And there's a performance knock right now that we're dealing with on the tech side. But this will be eventually, you know, we'll expand that limit and then we'll give it out to everyone. And we also want to see if we can do some things like connecting it to Web3 or putting in your portfolio. But yeah, for now it's VIP.
Yeah, so I think like there are some features that we sort of intend to sort of preserve for the VIP tier, and then there are many other features that we first roll out to VIP, as John was saying earlier. Maybe someone is joining us late here, but there are some features that we test out with the VIP and alpha tiers first, and it's a way to keep it quite manageable for us. And it's also a way for them to get value as well for being sort of in those tiers. But I would say the intention is that like most of the stuff we roll out to the current VIP tier, like eventually should end up in the standard tier. Not everything, but like a lot of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're trying to, I think the phrase that we're using is that standard will be ready to eat versus VIP is going to be a little bit more, you're willing to do more work to get to that signal. So we want to make sure that we perfected that ready to eat aspect before we release it to standard. So something like Watchlist, we want to, you know, make sure we got it before we send it out.
Exactly. So we also have NFTs on the watch list.
Yeah. So this is, I think, the first time that we're showing a floor price in Nansen, which is awesome and a huge achievement for us. And we'll obviously, we hear a lot of people that are asking for floor price in NFTs, and we want to do more here, like alerts and coming soon. I know we'll say that a lot, but the fact that we've now calculated it, it's off of sales. This is really good. And then you can see the change in a 24-hour period, change in a 7-day period, and the volume that's in ETH. So really you could build your own version of NFT Paradise, which is kind of awesome. So, like we have our own market overview, which is based on like the size of different projects. But, if you're really into, I don't know, cool cats or stoner cats or something like that, you can grab it and start tracking that yourself.
Maybe just an idea, here on the spot, which I'll of course input into feedback.nansen.ai. It would be quite nice if we just had toggles so that either as a part of the filter, you can just say only include watchlist items. Like for example, if you're looking at NFT Paradise, you could just say only watchlist items. Like I only want to look at the stuff I care about.
Yeah.
And maybe similar with any overview of tokens or any overview of addresses, like just filter out anything that's not on my watch list, because like I only want to look at what I care about, not all this other stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's definitely coming soon. We've this right-click menu is super powerful, like where you could just be like filter on this one item, and just give me that. Or again, we've just did this add to watch list, but you can do filter only my watch list items or things like that. So
yeah. We also got sorry, go ahead.
No, let's hear more comments.
Yeah, there was another comment here, another question, which is, what's the methodology for sales floor price? I could have a guess, but maybe you know the actual answer.
I think Paul would know the actual answer, but
yeah, we should get Paul as well on some office hours at some point.
That would be good.
Yeah. But I mean, I think fundamentally one big difference between what we're showing here versus what you see on OpenSea is that this is based on actual transactions. So what you see on OpenSea is very, very useful, but it's a slightly different thing. It's kind of like the sort of lowest price you see on the order book. That's like one way to think about it. So what's the lowest listing price that you see right now? That makes a lot of sense for very liquid collections, because if someone puts like first of all, there's always going to be a lot of demand for the most liquid collections, right? So things will get scooped up very, very often. But if you have a not very liquid collection where basically not a lot of people are buying it, you could imagine that someone just puts kind of like someone puts an arbitrary listing which happens to be the lowest, but it's still way higher than anyone would actually pay for this item. And so you can get these artificially high floor prices if you just look at listings. This is what's actually been traded. Like this is what I think it's the last 24 hours that we're showing here. At least that's what we do in NFT Paradise.
Yep.
And so you can see like what's the lowest price we've observed. And I think maybe we do some kind of filtering. That's something we should check with Paul, because sometimes you get like some fat fingers and things like that. But the general principle is that we look at actual transactions in the last 24 hours.
Right. Yeah, that's spot on, right? And so there's going to be some discrepancy between, I was just flipping around between OpenSea and what we're showing. So I mean, it's good that there's some, like our calculation's a little different. You should be, looking at what's in OpenSea, but they have an order book. We're not looking at OpenSea's order book. We're just looking at what has traded in the past 24 hours. That I think is could be more realistic, right? Or at least gives you a comparison point.
Yeah. There's another question here, which is that will there be an ability to drill down into the floor price for projects by trait? I love this question. I don't know if you've seen the latest on the trait stuff. I got a little bit of a demo this week from the NFT guys. So I guess the answer to this is yes. I mean, there's going to be a lot of drill downs you can do on traits, which is really cool.
Yeah.
We don't want to give any sort of ETA on this on their behalf,
Right.
but they are working actively on it. I don't know if you have any additional comments on the trait stuff.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even want to show it. I mean, because it's in development right now. So the answer is we're working on it. And yeah, we want to do this. The NFT team, by the way, there's like multiple product teams that we've developed, which allows us to move fast. And we want to also listen to both implicit and explicit feedback. Implicitly, people are using the NFT tools that we built. And we're hearing, there's a survey actually that goes on whenever you register for Nansen that asks what you're here for. And we look at that, and a lot of people recently have said they joined because of the NFT product. So we wanted to make sure we put attention on that. So there is a team dedicated to that, and they're able to move fast on this stuff. So you'll see more features coming out related to NFTs in the near future. So, and then we can still, in parallel, build things like the watch list, like accessibility items, like smart alerts, and we're going to be doing some user experience items coming soon. So we're still able to execute on multiple facets.
Yeah. There's another question. Is there a plan to include financial or statistical metrics, for example, Bollinger Bands, so one could see when price hits a certain standard deviation above moving average?
I mean, I love it, obviously. Like that's, you're singing, you're talking my talk, which is good. But it's interesting because I guess going back to SHIB, we show trades last, which I think is interesting, that it's both from how we maybe intentionally or unintentionally we did this. Like a lot of people show that, right? There's other tools that will give you Bollinger Bands and charts. If you're into technical analysis, you can get that. But what you can't get is really here's the notable wallets, here's the on-chain data about that token. So I think we maybe intentionally did that, but our graphs will improve also. I would say, like, we want to put more power behind these things.
Yeah, I think you raise a very good point there, because I think from the beginning, our philosophy has been that we should ship stuff that you don't find elsewhere, primarily. That's like the primary focus. So, hey, there's really no good way to find out like who's accumulating tokens, or there's no good way to get a reliable estimate of tokens on exchanges. I mean, there are some, I'm not going to name any names, but there are some other products out there that have some attempts to do this that are not very accurate. And so we focused from the beginning on stuff that we felt like we can't really get it in the market right now. And the trades thing was almost like, yeah, it feels like we should have the price somewhere. Yeah. And so we plug that in. I think the cool thing about the trades tab is actually that it is totally DEX-based. Like, right, all the data that feeds those volume charts and the price is actually exclusively from DEXs, which is kind of cool. Yeah. But apart from that, I think the philosophy has been to try to give new perspectives that you cannot get in other products.
Right. Yeah. So, but I guess back to charts and getting more signal or reducing the noise. I think there is a lot that we can do here. So the answer is yes. We're going to be improving charts and adding the ability to tick and change things. I think one of the areas that you see that already is NFT God mode. And if I go into maybe I already had it, but I'll just go into a new one. Star Cats. We had like a moving average in this one, and the ability to remove, which actually it doesn't look like it's here, but maybe there's no outliers. But yeah, I mean, I think we need to improve this going forward.
There's someone asking, are you guys still looking for an intern? Yes, we are.
Yes.
we always look for interns. We look for full-time employees. Go to nansen.ai/careers to ape into our application process.
Right.
At the very bottom, I think there's intern, but I would say that's more like an open application. Like we're happy to consider interns on like most parts of the company. As an intern at Nansen, like it's how should I put it? There aren't that many interns like relative to people who are actually quite senior and have experience that you can learn from. So it's not like we have this like hordes of interns that we take on. At the same time, we also don't have any specific like budgets or headcounts that we are limited to. So when we see great candidates, we are happy to consider taking them on. So I would say the pro tip here is just to look a bit at the job descriptions, and if you want to go for an intern application, just send us your CV and little cover letter. We have the instructions there on the website.
Yeah.
So since I have you here, like, what would be how do you get a product internship at Nansen? What do you look for?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for designers and product owners so there's the product team is interesting, where there's like we have the non-technical people as well, right? Like, I mean, even if you're like me, who's not exactly a coder, you need to be technical in some way, right? You need to be literate in, hey, I know what a SQL query is. And that's great. Like, that's a good foundation. But if you still want to like learn and play around and you're really just passionate about the space, I encourage you to apply. And what we're looking for is someone who knows, either, what data like this could unlock, like what possibilities there are. Like, if you're just curious, passionately curious, that's awesome. You need to be, kind of interested in Nansen. That's one of the things that I look for, is like, this is a product that you could see evolving over time. But you have an eye for design, an eye for, if you've done product management before, like prioritization is really important, and the why we're doing what we're doing is important. But yeah, I mean, I think if you have experience, that's great. If not, and you're just curious, apply for an internship. We'd love to talk to you and see what we can do. But yeah, that's kind of the short story on that.
That's great. And there's another question: are these positions remote, so available for the entire world?
Yes. Yeah. I think our team is kind of Europe and US, but we also have people in Asia. Obviously, Alex is in Singapore. So I think we have a pretty good breakdown right now, which is really nice. What I've heard before from people is like, a globally distributed company, this is an experiment too, is really difficult if it's not shared, if like everyone's it's in the same geography. But I think because we're all spread across the world, it actually works really well. So
yeah, I think the benefit is that we're like a remote first company from day one.
Right.
And I've seen examples of like remote being done like halfway, where there is like a headquarter where like half of the people are at, and then the other half is spread out across the world. And then you get this kind of A team and B team feeling, where it's like, if you're at the office, you get to hear the gossip or whatever it is, right? But with us, it's kind of been like remote is the default for everyone. And so the headquarter is really in Discord. That's where it happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, we're kind of embracing and like leaning into the remote first world rather than trying to work around it.
For sure.
So I guess that answers the question: do we have a London office? Yes, we do, because you can work from your apartment in London. So in a sense, we do have a London office, but we don't actually have a physical London office.
Yes, but we do have people in London we have designers and salespeople that are in London. So you wouldn't be alone too, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. We're actually coming up close on time here. Any last things you want to show before we wrap up?
Let's see. I mean, I guess there's I always like to promote like other dashboards that don't get a lot of love, but I think are kind of interesting. So I'll highlight, I know with like 4 minutes left, the, where am I? ETH Tracker. I love, I would just say like, there's one chart that I've looked at for the past like, few weeks, and it's around this on-chain flow volume per exchange. You know, actually, I think you developed this, Alex, but it seems to be working really well for me, at least in terms of like signal. So I love this, and it shows kind of where the volume is on each individual exchange. But anyway, do you have any other insights on this one? I've just been looking at it a lot recently. It seems to be tracking quite well.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few. If you scroll down a bit more, I think there's also like contract deployment. Sorry, the one that we just scrolled past now. That one. It's kind of like interesting as well. I remember there was people were talking about how there are like there's like record-breaking amount of contracts being deployed in Ethereum, and if you dug into it, it turns out actually these are like gas token contracts, empty contracts, and Kai token contracts. So the breakdown was at least kind of interesting to me. I don't know if this actually deserves being in the product as a dashboard, or if it's just something we look at once in a while. But I remember finding it kind of interesting at least. Stablecoin Master, I think, is kind of a cool one as well. So it's similar to ETH Tracker. Yeah, it was under Discovery there. So that's one. And there's actually one thing that I like. If you maybe it's the next tab, like notable wallets, I think. This one is pretty cool. If you scroll down to, I think it's the bottom of this page, because the cool thing about this dashboard is like, it's all the major stable coins in one view, which you don't really see in many places. And so here you can see what are like the most active addresses when it comes to stable coins, which can actually show you a lot of interesting entities, including like SCP, which is a market maker. And you see like exchanges that are, moving around a lot of stable coins, Binance being by far the biggest one. And I think if you scroll on a bit more, there's also this like from and to thing, which is showing like effectively tokens flowing from one address to another one. And so this is also pretty cool to just see where like you see like Alameda, there's like tons of funds flowing in from this FTX deposit into FTX, which reflects, and then there's like Justin Sun. I don't know if you see that there into Aave. So there are some of these flows that I think are often quite interesting, and I think this is definitely one that is overlooked. Yeah, so that was just like one I thought of at the end there, but there's a lot of stuff to dig into.
And I think it's awesome. Like, I think that's the stuff that I wanted to highlight, because, sometimes maybe we're not focused on like the macro, right? Or like these things just don't get a lot of love, and there's a ton of information out of this. And, I encourage everyone to take a look. This is another one that I have been looking at recently, is just like the amount of over $1 million stablecoin. This is value distribution of volume. So if it's a more voluminous transaction, it'll show up like larger, at least from what I understand it. And this to me shows how Ethereum is valuable, right? Like it's growing in terms of value over time. There were more things that were in the 10K to 100K category up until, like 2018, which makes a lot of sense. But to me, this kind of creates that narrative around like Ethereum's Manhattan, and like there's going to be more high value transactions on chain here in Ethereum. So anyway, I think there's some of those narratives that you can build around this data as well.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to wrap up. So thank you so much for joining, John, and thank you for shipping and steering the ship of shippers. So I think we'll wrap it up today here. Hope everyone who's watching enjoyed the discussion. If you did, please give our video a thumbs up, hit the like button, share it with your friends. And then you can also subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notifications as well, so you don't miss any alpha leaks in the future. And with that, thank you very much. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.